What's up, guys? This is, of course, Like Crypto here, and today we're going to be doing a bit of a mini investigation on Zcash. We're going to be exploring why exactly has there been such a huge pump on it recently. We're going to be touching upon a bit of the project's origins and also discussing whatever this recent pump has been actually artificial or organic. Now, Zcash had its origin block back in 2016, so it has been around for quite some time. There's a lot of history, data, and lore behind this project, and we will not go through most of that stuff here today. We're going to be going a lot of key points instead. So I recommend, as always, doing your own research about every crypto project out there and verifying all the claims that I'm going to be making here in this video today. So as I said, Zcash was formed back in 2016. I believe that is a couple of years after Monero was founded, and that's kind of when a lot of these privacy-based coins came out to be. I think Dash was launched at a similar time, and that uses actually a lot of the same technology that Zcash does. Now, the actual origins of this project go into a couple of very important people, and this is kind of where the shady stuff actually starts to emerge. So Madar's Verza, apologies for bad pronunciation there. He was basically the co-founder or co-inventor of Zcash, which is basically the base technology, and that was the base technology that was used to create Zcash. And he was a scientist at MIT with another person known as Joy Ito, a Japanese person. And they basically were, part of these people who created out this whole Zcash click from the start. Now, the first controversy here is that they actually took money from Epstein. So Epstein basically, I believe, gave according to this source, 7.5 million donations into this lab. So Epstein, which has been already confirmed as a Mossad agent or basically a servant of the Israeli deep state, essentially, has been funding a lot of different projects, a lot of different people, and Zcash or Zero Cash, which was the main thing that this MIT lab was doing, basically was funded by Epstein. So that's like your first very, very dangerous and shady connection that there is to this project. So even though we say like it's the technology that matters, not the people behind it, I think the origins are really important, whatever it comes to Satoshi or something else, because that really gives us the idea what was the coin really meant to do in the first place and who was really behind it and what it was designed to do exactly, aside, what it's basically being pitched as. Now, what is also important to understand who others were behind Zero Cash in terms of the authors and also who were sponsoring that, who were funding this thing altogether. So there are a lot of Jewish people here. I'm not sure if Madars is Jewish. I'm pretty sure he is. I don't have a confirmation on that. We have another key developer at Zcash, Eli Ben Sasson. He is basically another Jewish person. I think he's from Tel Aviv. And then we have Aaron Trummer, who is from Tel Aviv University, another Jewish person. And he is actually part of, allegedly, of the Unit 8200, which is basically the NSA of Israel. So basically the bad guys. I mean, NSA is bad guys. These guys are bad guys. Also, it has been rumored that Edward Snowden was also contributing into Zero Cash, who worked for NSA. And it's not a leap, obviously, to believe that Israeli intelligence agencies are working with US intelligence agencies. Now, whatever you have your position about intelligence agencies in general, they are not very pro-crypto in general, in my opinion. And you have other very alarming red flags here in terms of the sponsors of the technology. We have the US Defense Force, that is DARPA. We have the Air Force Research Laboratory. We have a lot of Zionist organizations here. Israeli Center of Research Excellence, I-Core program, Israeli Ministry of Science and Technology. And then there's some other things and which I'm not very familiar with. It doesn't really matter. And then we obviously have Amazon there and also Tel Aviv University of Authentication Initiative. So a lot of Zionist elements. And what we have to understand is that the Ivy League schools and, the Tel Aviv schools, they are deeply embedded with the intelligence agencies. That's where they recruit their people from into working for their agencies. They look into universities, they recruit there. And this is no different probably in top Russian schools or top Chinese school. That's where these people basically recruit their people. And there's a lot of these connections, Jewish Zionist connections, all around Zcash. Another connection that we have is Goldman Sachs, which is a Zionist banking organization. They have obviously a subsidiary known as Circle, very big in crypto, obviously, and Circle obviously is one of the investors in Zcash. Zcash obviously has non-Zionist investors as well, like the Winklevoss twins, and I think Pantera Capital. I don't know of those, are they Zionist or not? I haven't got into that deep in the rabbit hole. But as you can see, what I'm explaining to here, there's a lot of intelligence agency money behind this thing. In the Bitcoin Talk forums, they were basically addressing Zcash when it came out as an Israeli honeypot. And that's what it really, based on the evidence that we're seeing, is kind of alluding to. Now, one of the things that makes Zcash interesting is really the block system. So let me actually bring that up here. So in terms of like when a block is mined on Zcash, it does actually have a split. This is very rare. I don't think there's any other coin outside from the recent Bitcoin Cash fork. I think it's called Ycash, I believe, that has an actual foundation developer block reward. So basically every single other project that in existence in terms of block rewards do not give anything into foundation or developers or anything like that. That is not how any of these projects works. So this is very sus and obviously out of the ordinary. So since of inception of 2016, 80% of the block has been going into miners. Then we have these three entities over here. We have the Electric Coin Company, we have the Zcash Foundation, and then there is the CZG, which is the Zcash Community Grants Committee. Now, first and foremost, what we need to really understand is that when we have governance types of things, that is extremely sus on a privacy coin chain, because let's say the intelligence agencies who have a stakeholder, Mossad and etc., they can just like move the money as privacy and put it into multiple different accounts, and it seems like there's a decentralized anonymous grant being given to XYZ thing, but that's actually going into IDF fund or something like that. So that is extremely scary concept to have privacy mixed up with governance, because that's very anti-governance in my general. We don't know where the money is going. So I'm not saying that they're going to IDF or Mossad directly. They can just basically pull the money back to themselves. So that's like a huge risk in their system. Obviously, they changed that last year, but they still have money going into the community grants. And then there's this lockbox thing, which I haven't really looked into too much. But this doesn't matter, because for 8 years, basically, you had Zcash Foundation and Electric Coin Company basically accumulating Zcash, which they now can use basically in governance to make decisions and whatever corruption that they are using to the intelligence agency, money laundering, and all that shit. So it doesn't matter if that has changed, because all that money still exists in some of these wallets, and they have the collective power now because they have been accumulating and obviously cheating their bags, allegedly. So that's something that obviously has been a bit of a problem in the pitch. And that's why in 2019, there was a fork, which we did cover when it actually was happening in some airdrop video and a distant moon ago. And that was the Ycash. And they basically decided that, hey, we don't want this, dev block thing. We're going to be doing our own fork. And this obviously has flopped since. It didn't really manage to sustain itself. And this is kind of like died and irrelevant right now. But basically, they had a fork of Zcash and decided like, hey, we're going to be, instead of 20%, we're going to have only 5%, which is also like, okay, why do you need 5%? Like, isn't this idea to have zero altogether? So that's kind of interesting part about it. Now, in terms of the Electric Coin Company, I don't know where the money actually is going into. Part of it's probably going in development, or is it going into Mossad pockets? Is it going into NSA pockets? Is it going into the deep state? We don't really know that much about it. I don't think they are giving out any types of breakdowns where they're using their money. Obviously, they are making a lot of money because, as I said, they are getting percent cuts and have been getting those for almost a decade now. And then obviously, we need to also understand that, even when we're going into the leadership on those two companies, Electric Coin Company and the Zcash Foundation, those are Jewish too. So the current executive director is Alex Bornstein, and Stein, I don't need to really explain it, it's a Jewish surname. And I'm not saying all the people here are Jewish. That's not the claim I'm making, but I'm saying the leadership seems to be very Jewish, and it seems to be heavily in bed with the intelligence agencies in America and in Israel. So that is a very much alarming part about it. Now, lastly, now that we have kind of covered a lot of these weird connections here, and there's been a lot of obviously conspiracy theories and other claims, which I did not include in this because I could not verify whether they were right or not. Now, the rally is the next thing I want to talk about. So the first thing needs to be understood that the actual amount of new wallets has not increased. It's not like Zcash had a spike of 20% new users, new developers coming in. This is, I wouldn't say it's a dead chain, but it is akin to, Litecoin and Dogecoin. The development and the growth are astronomically low. They are irrelevant chains. Nobody's really building on them. And they have their own weird cliques of small people where the community is like 90% developers and 10% real users. Like that's really much a lot of these ghost chains are doing right now. Now, Zcash, as it is said here in the CoinDesk article, there's really nothing here in terms of growth that is happening in terms of the metrics. Like there is a spike, and so here's a bit of a chart about Zcash numbers on Binance Smart Chain. So there's a ported version of Zcash available on Binance Smart Chain, where a lot of the trading is probably happening in terms of DEXs. As we know, Zcash is not able to support smart contracts, so there's no DEX to trade on chain. And so there is amount of holders, but this is not a lot. So this is like with 2,000, that's over 2 Zcash. So this is not even all the holders. So I think the whole total thing is like, last time I checked on Binance Smart Chain scan, is like 8,000 people holding on Binance Smart Chain, which is one of the biggest DEXs to basically trade Zcash, as this does not exist in my memory in any other EVM-based chain. I think it is in Solana, but I don't think we have seen any type of chart which would indicate that there has been a huge growth in new users coming in, or, obviously they had a new update coming in recently regarding the privacy. But in terms of like all the transactions here, we have the 22, which and 23. I think this was the when we had the inscriptions going on, and then we have the year chart, and it has been 2,000 transactions, and now it basically had this huge spike when the coin got really big, and now it basically crashed from 60,000 into 40k, which is like, or 73k into 14k, and it seems that it's going to be going down and down from there onwards in the upcoming days. So the growth, in my opinion, is very artificial, and there's evidence of this. I have seen Jewish influencers outside of crypto and in crypto shilling the fuck out of Zcash.
I personally like Zcash. When you look at all the privacy coins, Monero, a few others, Zcash is by far the most superior to all of them. Monero, you can basically crack that because I believe Monero's code, it's basically has a combination of
The protocol is Zcash. It's a Bitcoin-style proof-of-work protocol. It's peer-to-peer and decentralized. It's immutable, and it's private. And today I'm going to give you 5 reasons why I'm buying Zcash and adding it to my portfolio right now, even after the run.
And I don't think that is a coincidence that that is happening, because these people might be in, in leaks with IDF, Mossad, or whatever network they're taking money from in terms of Israeli money. So I don't think it's totally out of the assumption that this would be connected to each other, that there would be a correlation between this shilling with these Jewish influencers and the pumping of, Zcash. Now, the final point I do want to talk about is, of course, the Zcash price, which obviously went up. Why would the coin go up right now? Obviously, we had the European law, thing happening a couple of weeks ago. We had to talk about the, banning of holding over 10,000 euros of cash or something. And now suddenly there's more surveillance and things like that, which haven't come into effect yet, okay? They're not effective. Why would you need the coin right now, okay? And not when the law comes into effect, or 1 month after the law comes into effect. I think it's still months away. I think it's next summer or something like that. So a lot of this surveillance shit, it's not even online. And then there's the other point, why Zcash? Dash, for example, basically has the same privacy features. It has the optional privacy option. And that is basically a coin that has much more better tokenomics in terms of like, there's not, the foundation holding shit ton of coins. They do have an actual governance thing, but it's working very different way than the Zcash is, and there's no dev cuts in that coin. And there's also Pirate Chain, which is technologically superior to Zcash, and then there's obviously Monero. Now, Monero, I do want to say that Monero doesn't have great tokenomics. It's an inflating asset. It's not going to be very great, but in terms of privacy, it is superior to Zcash, as is Pirate Chain. So in terms of privacy coins, I think there are a lot of better options here. So the only reason really that the Zcash would be pumping right now is because you have a coordinated effect, coordinated element coming from the Zionist regime to pump the coin, to basically funnel in more money to the Zionist regime to fight in Gaza, as they are preparing for war with Iran. Probably next year or this year, it might start already. And obviously, they want to wipe out the Gaza. So they need the money because obviously in America, their support is going down. They may not get all the money foreign aid that they're getting from America. They can't extract vampire out money from Europe and America. So they need to really pull out money themselves. And this is kind of like one of the things that they're doing in order to have that, because nothing would really explain to me why Zcash would be outperforming Monero, Pirate Chain, or Dash, in my opinion. But that basically is my investigation. Obviously, there's a lot of claims in here which I can't fully prove, and that's credit to them, because investigation, privacy intelligence agencies are not like exactly posting their data, on the internet. Hey, we work at Mossad. Like, that's not how it works. So we have like a limited information that we have, but I think evidence is really supporting this theory that there's a lot of Israeli elements here at work, which are very dangerous. And also we have potential that we could be there might be some type of backdoor key into the privacy elements in Zcash. So if somebody is using Zcash, maybe NSA or the Mossad can find out who exactly is using and maybe reverse transactions and things like that. There might be backdoor elements there that these intelligence agencies have. So I don't really have a lot of trust for Zcash. But thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned for more investigations maybe in the future. And other videos are coming soon about the bear market and airdrops, obviously. Thanks for watching. I will be seeing you in the next video. Cheers.